Hello again. Now we're going to discuss fiscal policy. I'm going to start off by reviewing a couple terms that we've already talked about because eventually we're going to start modeling the things that we're talking about with fiscal policy with these things we're going to review now. The things I'm talking about reviewing are aggregate supply. Aggregate supply is the supply of all goods and services in the economy, which is the output of the economy, at various price levels. Aggregate demand is the demand for all goods and services in the economy, that is our GDP, at various price levels. We're going to start modeling. We're going to go back to modeling with these things, so I want to make sure we're clear on what those are. Now, a couple of words to review from the English language that are not particularly defined in textbooks, but we need to have close to our heart when we're discussing particularly fiscal policy, or actually monetary policy as well, any policy tools that we might use to affect the economy. The words that I'm talking about, making sure they're close to our heart, are these. Expansionary. What does it mean to be expansionary? It means to make larger, right? To somehow expand or make larger the thing we're talking about, which is ultimately going to be the output of the economy. What's the opposite of expansionary? We'll want to have that close to our heart as we're working through fiscal policy and also monetary policy. The opposite of expansionary is contractionary. So things designed to shrink the economy, policy actions designed to shrink the economy, or frequently the term used would be to cool the economy, are also called contractionary. These are contractionary policies. So those are some words from the English language that we want to have close to our heart as we're discussing fiscal policy, and then also when we get to it, monetary policy. So that's the review. Now, let me make clear an important distinction that I've already touched on, but not with definitions. When we're talking about fiscal policy, it's different than monetary policy. This is an important distinction because we cannot have good conversations without knowing this distinction. Fiscal policy, our current focus, that's done by the government or governments. The tools that fiscal policy makers have, which are generally politicians, elected politicians are our fiscal policy makers in the United States, the tools available to them to enact policy upon the economy are two. Government spending or taxes. They can raise or lower taxes. They can raise or lower government spending. So those are the two levers they have to try to affect the economy as fiscal policy makers. They are not the Fed. They are the feds. The Fed is who affects monetary policy. The term the Fed is short for the Federal Reserve Bank. It's different from the feds. Those who work at the Fed are bankers. These are accountants and economists. They wear thick glasses and pocket protectors. The feds work for the federal government. These are typically, that term is reserved for FBI agents. They wear sunglasses and guns. Very different things. The feds and the Fed are different things. One, if we spend more money on FBI agents, that's fiscal policy. That's different from increasing the money supply, which is monetary policy. So monetary policy has to do with the money supply and interest rates. Fiscal policy has to do with taxes and government spending. Fiscal policy is done by the government. Monetary policy is done by the Federal Reserve. It's led by the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. And it's our next topic where we're going. We're focused over here on government, which is the tools again are government spending and taxes, and they could be used to expand the economy or to contract the economy. It's very important to get this distinction down to have good conversations about where we are going. So I think with that review intact and this distinction made about where we're going, fiscal policy done by whom, the government, with what, taxes or spending, I think that's a good breaking point for an introductory video for fiscal policy.